What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of AATBirds Opening the Vault, the best off-season AAT sports show we have. We have a very incredible special guest tonight. I'm Chip, that's Johnny, and right here joining us is the one, the only Barrett Brooks. And you can find him, of course, at BBBrooks72 NBCS. But let me tell you, man, I am excited for you to join us. I know that Johnny and I are very hyped. That video helped hype us up.
I'm ready
Mikey's
to play now.
here.
Yeah.
Mikey's ready to go. Mikey's chiming in already.
Mikey, what's up,
ready
man?
Mikey was ready at
cool.
Mikey was ready at 3:30, so that was awesome. So for those of you that have been living under a rock, let me tell you some things about Barrett Brooks. Barrett Brooks was a 1995 second-round pick of the Philadelphia Eagles. Played here a bunch of years. Then he went to some other places. All right, fine. He played in Detroit. He played in Green Bay. He played for the Giants. He played for Pittsburgh. But he is a Super Bowl champion. He played in 118 games. He started 62 of them. And now he has come all the way back to be an analyst on NBC Philly and the Eagles Postgame Live, which makes him a two-time Emmy winner. That's cool.
I appreciate it. Now, I can't live up to that, but I'll try. You know what I'm saying? I really appreciate you guys having me on, man. I really do, man. I like the stuff you guys do. So I'm always liking your stuff, commenting on your stuff, man. Because it's pretty cool that you guys go back and you watch the stuff that nobody else like. You guys actually found stuff of me. I can't believe it, man. You found stuff of me. So yeah, man, I'm ready to rock right now.
You know, speaking of that, finding stuff of you, there's a short little clip, video clip we're gonna play, and then we'll get into some questions with you.
All right.
Yeah, indeed.
And they've selected an offensive lineman, the tackle out of Kansas State, Barrett Brooks.
Oh, love it.
It's just cool.
I just scared my puppy. My puppy's here. She's sitting here. I just woke her up, man. I messed up. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Oh, my God. You said that, and my two dogs just came running by, too. So it's if nothing else, this whole pandemic, we have learned that dogs are really appreciative of us being home.
No, well, you know what? She doesn't really like me. She's just only sitting next to me right now because her mom is not here right now. So her mom's out, celebrating with her sister on her sister's birthday. So I got stuck with babysitting duty, So I'm here, and she's tolerating me right now. That's what it is. She's tolerating me.
Well, Maddie thinks she's adorable, and
thank you.
Mikey was excited to see a doggy. So, all right, let's get into it a little bit. So, going back to 1995, you're drafted in the second round, right? And it turns out, as a rookie, you have to start pretty soon after, which we talk about a lot on our show. Like, if first round picks, they have to start in the first year. Second, third, you're supposed to start by the second. You got forced right into it.
Yeah. Because
Bernard Williams got suspended. So, how was your welcome to the NFL? And we're gonna give you the spotlight here a little bit. So, wow.
Oh, you know what? It was kind of crazy because at the time, they brought me in to play guard. I was supposed to play guard right alongside of Bernard. Bernard couldn't stop smoking weed. He probably been cool now because weed is legal in most places, but he couldn't stop smoking weed, so I had to play left tackle. Now, I played left tackle my entire college career, so it wasn't like new to me, but I thought I was going in playing, a easier position because guard, you got two people, one guy on each side of you, and it's a smaller box that you have to block. Here I am coming out my first, couple weeks. I'm playing against Chris Dolman. Mr. White. You guys call him Razor. I call him Mr. White. Leslie O'Neal. I mean, top tier. Pat Swilling. You name it. I went against the top tier pass rushers in the league my rookie year. Talking about indoctrination by fire. Yeah, I had to go in there and start. So it was cool coming in as a starter. I learned a lot. I played pretty well. Considering the fact that I was a rookie. They had me blocking a lot of the time by myself. They had a little more faith in me than they had the right tackle. I don't know if you guys remember the right tackle was, but they had a lot more, they liked me blocking one-on-one.
Anton
more
Davis,
so than
right?
Anton, yeah, better than Anton. So, a lot of the time I was one-on-one and he have a tight end to his side or a chipper his side. So it worked out pretty well. I enjoyed myself.
So you talked about a few pass rushers. That was actually the next question. And who was the best pass rusher you ever played against? Because there's guys, Bruce Smith, Charles Haley. You played against,
all of them.
all of them.
No, number one would be, like I said, Mr. White.
Right.
I mean, Mr. White was unbelievable. I remember, we lost the game. I think it was 10-9, and I can remember playing in this game, and I'm giving it all I got. First of all, I was supposed to be on the bench this game because they brought in Richard Cooper. So Richard Cooper was supposed to start. Well, he had started all the way through the season until it came up to, and it was time for, to play Green Bay, and he got sick against Green Bay. So, I get a call from Ray Rose at 6:30 in the morning. Get your ass up. It's time to play. I'm like, what are you talking about? I had cake and ice cream last night because you told me I wasn't playing. You told me I wasn't even dressing. I had cake and ice cream last night. Long story long, I go in and I start against Mr. White. We're playing pretty well. I'm fighting and, scratching the claw. And he said, he's the nicest guy in the world. So, Brooks, you're having a great game. You're playing hard. Keep going. So it's like, 2 minutes left in the game, and we're up. We're up. We have 9 points, and I think they had 3 points. So, but he said, hey, don't take this personal, but I got to go hard now. He said, what? You got to go hard now. I have given every ounce of my body and my soul trying to fight this dude off. I mean, I did everything, pulled every weapon out of my repertoire. I had nothing else to give. He says, I got to go hard now. Well, long story long, a sack and a half later, they ended up winning because they scored because he went in and got a sack fumble, And first of all, the first time he goes, he says, I'm going hard. He tries to hump me. And I grab onto his arm, and he's literally lifting me up in the air and going like this. And, they were throwing the flags at me. Hold it on, Bruce. Hold it. I'm like, what you want me to do?
Yeah, I had to.
Don't worry, I won't find that highlight. I won't look.
As he goes back into the dark parts of the internet.
Ragdoll me. Holding on for dear life, man. But I mean, that's a great, that's some of the greatness that I played against. Mr. White. After him, a guy that nobody really knows about. He was my arch nemesis. He was probably the best player besides Mr. White that I played against. And I played against Charles Haley, all those guys, Leslie O'Neal, Derek Thomas. It was a guy named Ken Harvey. Ken Harvey's from Washington. Mm-hmm. And he had just left the Cardinals, went to Washington. He was my nemesis. He was an unbelievable. He was a linebacker they brought in on third downs. And he was just the strongest guy I've ever played. I mean, second strongest I ever played. And Reggie was first, and he was second. I tell people all the time, when you play against Reggie, when you were young and your pops would come over, he'd grab you, and you were grabbed, that grown man strength, that's what it was playing against Mr. White. But Ken Harvey was, Ken Harvey's a great athlete. He played linebacker. He was fast, strong. I mean, he had great pass rushing moves. Every time I played him, man, it was a battle to the finish, man. So, he was one of the, games that I always got up and got hyped for when we played against Washington, going against Ken Harvey. I mean, even better than I think Strahan was.
Wow. It's so funny to hear. Like, part of your story is Reggie White spent most of the game not giving you a full effort.
Yes.
And then physically tells you, you done good, but now it's my turn.
I got to go hard now. I'm like,
oh my God, that's a story. So I have to sneak this in. This is off book over here. You mentioned Washington. What do you think, having played for the Eagles, having played for the Giants, what do you think of the Commanders?
They will be the commies and everything else. Everything but the Commandos.
That's what my wife said.
Commandos.
Go commies.
Commandos. That's what I thought.
When I think of them now, I'm just going to be thinking of, jeans with no underwear on. That's what I'm going to think of when I look at Washington. Commando. Yeah, they'll be commando. So he just, that owner just doesn't get it. He just doesn't.
He doesn't. He doesn't. We it's awful.
You look at the logos that they have for like the Red Wolves.
Right.
Unbelievable logos. I mean, I
with
thought
the
wolf
wolf pointing up in like the
with the Capitol building. I thought that was hype. But
that's why I really like social media, because you see like the creative people who don't get paid for the logos or paid for the uniform things or paid for the names, and they're better than the people who get the multi-million-dollar deals and everything. I mean, it's crazy to me.
Speaking of logos, let me tell you a quick story, man.
Okay, go ahead. I love it.
I went to college. When I went to college, I went to Kansas State University, and at the time, Kansas State was ranked like 106 out of 108 Division I school. Worst school. The only reason I went there because they let me play basketball also. So I go there, and Coach Snyder gets there like the year before, and he paid this guy $5,000 to make a logo. So the new logo, the cat logo that you see on, everything now for Kansas State was he paid a guy $5,000 to do it for him.
Mhm.
He got like 2%, 1 or 2% of all monies they raised from that logo, even till now. 1%.
Wow.
Can you imagine how much money that is?
Wow.
And we went there, he's won more games and did more, the greatest turnaround in college football history. He was a part of that. He made Kansas State cool when it wasn't cool. And, he got 1% of all the money that they generated from that logo. Talking about smart. That's a smart guy.
That's a smart investment.
No
That's
question.
a smart investment.
No question.
Wow.
All right, I got to ask Philadelphia questions now, right?
All right, let's go.
We took care of Washington. That's enough of that. We're done with that. All right. It is a rumor that Philadelphia is a tough place to be. It's a rumor. I think we're very friendly. It's brotherly love and all.
Right.
How tough was Philadelphia for you? Because look, you're a starter. Then you were a backup. Then you lost your. I mean, you were kind of all over the place. So how tough was it being, in Philadelphia for you? And then so much that this is now where you have, set up where you're going to spend. I mean, this is where you are now. So what is it about Philadelphia? Why was it tough? And then, what made you come back?
I think it's more so that I lay my roots here. I'm married a Philly girl, and I'm around the corner from here. I live in Voorhees, New Jersey, right across the bridge from Philly. Okay. I work for NBC now. I have a boat in Wildwood, that I dock in Wildwood. I go fishing all the time. I'm next to the ocean. I'm an hour and a half from downtown Manhattan, New York. An hour and a half to Baltimore, 2 or 3 hours from DC. It's the central spot, And plus, even though, I had ups and downs with the Eagles, I ended up having an okay career. And they accepted me because I just put my hard hat on and went out there and just fought, man. I wasn't the best athlete in the world, but I gave everything. I was going to fight you to the finish. It may not look good, but I fought every single play that I played. And I think Philadelphia got it. So they enjoyed, seeing that aspect of me. I had batteries thrown at me, all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I caught the guy that did it one time too. I caught him. I caught him. He won't throw another battery. Put it like that. I mean, it's just a great fan base. They're gonna let you know. They feel as though, and this is what makes me an Eagles fan. They made sure that they realized that you realize as a player that they paid your salary. You know what I'm saying? He said, look, I paid your salary. I went to work and I bought these season tickets so I can come here. And you can't help but respect that from a player standpoint, understanding the fan base is going to give you that total commitment. So, yeah, they're going to give it to you either way it goes. They love you to death, but they'll also cuss you out. You can't help but respect that.
And I think that's huge, though. You bring that up and you talk about you bring your heart out, you work because, being a starter as a rookie, and then you're a backup. 96 offseason, they signed Steve Wallace.
Bought him off and started in front of him.
He started in front of him, switching then to right tackle. 97 after 96 first round pick Jermaine Mayberry, who was then moved to left tackle after being guard, and then moved to guard, and then in 98 another first round pick Trey Thomas, and then Richard Cooper was healthy playing right tackle. It's just there was a lot that was put in front of you, kind of just like big barriers for you, and you did a good career with the Eagles, and then eventually you went to the Lions, and then you wind up winning a Super Bowl with the Steelers. And, it just shows that sometimes it's not always meant for you, but if you go to work and you work your hard, not many people have as long of a career in the NFL that you had. It's very small, very, very small percentage.
Well,
that's great, to look and see what you've done and just, say, hey, I played this long in the NFL and not many can do it.
I appreciate it, man. And I went to work every day. There's times, I'd wake up at 2:00 in the morning and go run 3 miles just because I knew nobody in my hemisphere was up running at 3:00 in the morning. And that was a little edge that I got in my head that, all right, I did this. So I know I deserve to be on the field. And, and it really helped me. Pittsburgh loved me because, I was more than just a player. Usually when you go into a game, you dress, 2 offensive linemen or even 3 offensive linemen, for the games. And just in case of a guard or a tackle or a center gets hurt, you got to have one of those guys. Well, Pittsburgh loved me because I could play all 3 positions. I understood that, I had to take care of the intangible, being in shape, making sure I went hard, and they didn't have to tell me about my effort. But the biggest thing was I went to work, and I knew the playbook like the back of my hand. I knew what guards were doing, centers are doing, and tackles doing. I made sure I knew that so I could come in and play. I actually played all three positions in one game against we played Cleveland. So, I was, to me, I was commodity because if they needed to dress an extra linebacker, they could do that because I could play all the positions. They didn't have to dress that offensive lineman. So it worked out for me.
So kind of along that, and it's kind of a little bit of the new to the old to the new thing here. So you mentioned, again, you do this for NBC. So this is the logic. And Javier's comment rolls in literally as I'm about to say, right? Javier says, wish we had more players on our roster with that same mentality. So looking at the current Eagles roster as it stands, there's definitely guys that don't understand the Philly mentality. So when you look at a guy, and I'm going to call him right, you look at a guy like Jalen Reagor, or you look at a former Eagle like Carson Wentz, these guys who don't understand it. How do you kind of hold the locker room together as being one of those guys? Because now you have a guy like a Jalen Hurts and even a Devontae Smith who get it, right? Who play the same position and who get it. How do you hold the locker room together when these guys are clearly not in it for the long haul in Philly?
Well, you got to have tough skin. That's the only reason why Mike Mamula made it. I made it. Bobby Taylor, our draft, Fred McCrary played for a long time also. We understood that when we got there was two things that you had to understand. That you had to come to work and work your ass off, number one. Yeah. But number two, you gotta beat Dallas. And a lot of these guys, they don't even think about that. They don't even think it's really a rivalry anymore. And when you have have that type of mentality, I think it's this young mentality that a lot of these players have that they're owed something. You're not owed anything. The only thing you're owed is that you're going to die and pay taxes. That's the only thing you're owed. So if you have the mentality that you're just going to outwork people, that's what usually works. But these guys don't go to work and outwork people. You let those older guys are outworking them. That's why you see Brandon Graham playing and playing at the level he's playing, because he outworks the younger guys.
Right.
And, they need to see that, you know what I mean? And they need to, learn from that. I don't know if they're so privileged, so when they walk in, they think that it's owed to them, and that's not, and it's bizarre to me because I played with Jalen Reagor's pops. You know what I'm saying? Me and Monty were close. Me and him were like this. We got drafted the same year. We played in camp together. We were together. And me and Monty, that's where we did it, man. We went hard in practice. He wasn't a starter, but he played and special teams guy. He understood that hard work they had to do. I don't know if Jalen works as hard as he should. If he did work harder, I can see results that would happen, because if you work as hard as you can work and then take it that much further, right? Then when you're on that field, it's not as though it's owed to you, but you put the work in, you're ready. I don't see these guys as being ready when they step on the field. It's like I worked my butt off. So for all I did to prepare for a game on Sunday, there was no question I was going to go out there and perform, because I put my work in, and I don't see that same dedication in a lot of these players.
And that's tough, that's, and, I think a lot of has to do with coaching too this year. And you started out with a guy named Ray Rhodes. I know there's a ton of stories with Ray and everything. What is your favorite?
All true.
What is what is one of your favorite stories, your Ray Rhodes stories? I had to ask this because you always hear about these stories. I wanted to get one for somebody who actually played for Ray.
Everybody knows about the story about before the playoff game when he was talking about coming in and raping wives and all that type of stuff. Everybody's heard that story.
Right.
Brand new shit. Everybody's heard that. But like there was one story I had, but it's one event that I had it was my rookie year, and I hit the rookie wall. It was week 14. I had hit the rookie wall. I had hit smack dab, and it was cold outside. It was like November, probably early. No, it was December. It was cold outside, and while I'm out there, I broke my thumb. Halfway through practice, I broke my thumb. So now I don't want to hit anybody because my thumb is broken. And I had, Bill Callahan was my coach, him and Juan Castile. So I'm in there, I'm starting, and for some reason, he was just on me. Callahan was just on me. And I turned around and said, look, man, leave me the F alone, man. I don't want to hear your mouth anymore. Just leave me alone. And he said one word to me, and I started chasing him. And guys came and tackled me and said, oh, stop. And Ray came over and said, man, take it to the house. Get in there. Take it to the house. I ain't trying to sit. So he kicked me. He kicked me out of practice, and I went back into the locker room. So while I'm in the locker room, everybody's out there still practicing. So I'm thinking I'm cut. So I start packing my stuff up in my locker. And guys come in, and they're like, ooh, as soon as they come in from practice, like, ooh, oh, you got cut. Ooh, all the players, especially Willie T, man. Willie T was on me, man. So, everybody went to meetings, and I kept packing my stuff. I was like, man, I'm off the squad now. So I'm packing my stuff out there. So Ray Ward walks into the locker room and said, what are you doing? I said, what do you mean, what am I doing? You just cut me. I didn't cut you, man. Take your ass to the meeting. So I go to the meeting. I get to the meeting. He said, after this meeting, you come to my office. I did it. After I went to the meeting, I went back to his office, sat down, and I said, man, you're going to have days like that, man. You just can't go crazy like that. So I sat with him, and me and Ray drank moonshine, and he told me all the stories about, being a coach of the 49ers and, how he coached Pro Bowls and, how all these stories about the different things that he encountered during his career as a coach. And, I was so drunk that I spent the night on his couch. He went home. He came back, got me up. He got to work about 5:30 in the morning, got me up, made me go in the steam room. And, I went on.
Sweat it all out, right?
Yeah, business as usual. But I was so drunk I couldn't even drive home because I was drinking moonshine with my head coach. So, that's the type of dude he was, man. He was hard-nosed, but, you could talk because he was a player, an ex-player, and he was a player's coach.
So Ray Rhodes drank you under the table. That's
He drove home and left me there.
Oh God!
Right. I was young, thoroughbred back then. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you were
drank me under the table.
Oh my God! Yeah, it's always funny because you hear the things and you see the memes and drinking in your 20s is not the same as drinking in your 30s and your 40s. Ray Rhodes drank you under the all right, and moonshine. My God, you didn't ease into it either. You were what?
And it wasn't a fruity moonshine. Usually, you have moonshine. You can have strawberries in it or cherries in it sometime, or you may have apples in it. No, it was straight moonshine. It was clear, like it tastes like turpentine. It was nothing good about it, and nothing to wash it down either. You know what I'm saying? I had a Gatorade. That's it. You know what I mean? So he was a different dude, man. But I love Ray to death, man. Love Ray to death.
That's so funny. All right, well, we got some random questions coming in. So Adam would like to know what was your greatest memory or game when you played in Philly?
My greatest memory of a game. I think it would have to be the playoff game where we beat them like 52-37 or something like that. To me, that was the greatest game, and everybody has these fond memories about the game. We scoring, Rob Carpenter, catching the pass, bringing it down, Charlie Garner catching, Willie T getting a return, all this, and everybody's all happy and everything in the locker room and everything. And all I can remember is while everybody was celebrating, I'm exhausted because Robert Porcher was one of those proud dudes, one of the best defensive linemen in the league at the time, defensive end. And I'm battling tooth and nail with him, trying to keep him from having a great game. And everybody else is having fun, smiling and kicking and everything else. I'm on the sideline. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to keep it together, trying to still battle because he's still going full speed. Everybody else in the team, they had given up. You know what I'm saying? Barry had gave up. All those guys had given up. Johnny Morton, he gave up. He wasn't trying to play hard. Herman Moore, they weren't trying to play hard. But Robert Porcher was still trying to bring it. He was trying to give it to it. I refused to be the only guy that didn't have a fond memory. So I kept him from getting a sack or hurry or hit on the quarterback. So I was pretty happy about it. But I worked my butt off trying to stay in front of him.
And it's so funny because linemen just don't get the credit. So you're saying, you're listening to all these players and they're smiling, and you're over here going, you wouldn't have gotten these points if I hadn't battled my ass off.
I mean, I'm like, bro, are you not seeing what's going on with me? Do you see me over here battling and fighting? You hear him, snarling and everything else. But hey, this is the life of a football player, man, I guess. True.
All right. This is always a loaded question. Your favorite teammate you play with. It doesn't have to be Eagles either. It can be your favorite teammate from any team you play for.
Probably my boy Charlie Batch. We're still close to this day. Him and Max Starks will probably be my boys. Charlie Batch, we played together in Detroit. He was my quarterback in Detroit, and then he was one of the ones that were influential in bringing me over, with Kevin Colbert to with the Eagles, with the Steelers. I mean, he brought me over with the Steelers. So Charlie Batch, she was my dude. C. Batch was my dude.
And
Yeah.
it's funny because you play with Detroit, and of course you can't block for Barry Sanders because he retires a year before you go there.
Oh,
And,
I was pissed too. He had just got 2,000 yards. So I'm like, oh, I'm good. And he retires. I'm like, oh.
And you get to run block, right?
Right,
right. We always talk about in our show, like, we don't understand why anybody with a young offensive line would pass the ball 50 times, because offensive linemen instinctively know how to run block. Pass blocking takes more finesse.
Yes.
And Barry Sanders leaving makes it a little more difficult.
I just knew I was gonna get, because they got like these gold bracelets, big gold bracelets that had 2000, like 2012 or 2000, wherever, how many yards he had, it was like 2037, and he got big chunk bracelets, gold bracelets with the number of yards he had that year. I'm like, oh, I'm about to get me a bracelet. He about to have 2,000 yards when I get there. You can believe that. And no, he retires. I had Ron Rivers. That was my coach. My running back was Ron Rivers and Ryan Stewart.
who famously did not rush for 2,000 yards.
Right.
Famously, of course. Mikey's looking to start up some trouble. Which team was the easiest that you played against during your career? Which game did you walk in and was like, I can have cake and ice cream the night before, and I know I'm starting, and it doesn't matter?
I think it was the Cardinals. The Phoenix Cardinals was probably the easiest team. And, you'd be surprised because at that time, Simeon Rice was there. And he was like, to me, he was just a player that I just dogged out. I just thought I had great games against him. So, me and Simeon would go neck and neck. And, I felt as though, I had my best games against him. It was easy for me to block him because he wasn't really a powerful guy. He was a long guy, and I could hold him a little better because he had long arms that I could hold. So I had my best games against him. That was the easiest team I say I'd play against every year were the Cardinals, Simeon Rice Cardinals.
There you go.
But then he went to Tampa Bay, and I'm
a different player.
And I'm in Detroit then. It got a little harder then because then I had to make sure they weren't running stunts. And him and Warren Sapp, and that was kind of tough.
God.
But I still had great games against him.
So we talk to a lot of offensive linemen. We kind of take pride in the fact that the AATBirds is like the offensive linemen's network. Because we talk to Trey Thomas, we have a show with Jeremy Bridges. Like we talk to offensive linemen. We got our people. But one thing I want to know from your perspective is, how has the position of offensive line changed from when you played to what you see now? Like even technique wise.
It was a lot more tougher back then because you could do a lot more stuff. Like backside, you can't really cut like you could cut when I was playing. So the blocking schemes are different. I can remember, we used to be able to do cross body blocks. Like we blocked down, I would throw my shoulder down and flip my legs and cross, and they outlawed that because it was breaking guys, ACLs and MCLs and stuff. So they stopped that. So, it was a different brand of playing back then. Back then, defensive lineman could smack you in the helmet. You know what I mean? It was just a more physical game than it is right now. The line of scrimmage was like war, straight war. So, man, I enjoyed that aspect of it, because I was a physical type of player. I was going to hit you in the mouth. You hit me in the mouth. I actually stole a move from Eric Williams, Dallas player. But every time he set, and then he grab you, then he headbutt you, boom, boom. And I would headbutt guys. And they wouldn't know what to do after that. They're like, yo, hey, man, stop that, man. And they're thinking it's illegal, but it doesn't say you can't do it. You can't do that now. But, I mean, that was something, that's probably why I got CTE now. That's why I forget everything now, what I'm saying? Bam my head against people, you know what I mean? But, I mean, it was just a different, funner brand of football back then because you could be more physical.
So do you think that it's some of the changes that they made have benefited the game or kind of taken away from the game?
It's benefited the game because, like I said, I'm still real forgetful with a lot of stuff because of the physical brand of play I play. They're protecting guys a lot more than they used to. They used to be able to crack back blocks. I'm telling you, the hardest hit that I ever had was by a little bitty DB, a Rondé Barber. Ooh. It was an interception Charlie Batch threw. And I'm running, and usually they tell you when you're offensive lineman, when somebody throws an interception, you go and grab the first guy with the opposing color jersey, and you grab him. That way, you don't get blindsided. Well, I'm thinking I'm going to get the hit. And as I'm running, I'm going to get make the hit on the guy that intercepted the ball. And all I heard was, pow. And when he hit me, it took everything for me from not falling flat on my face. But I went down on one knee and put my hand down. And I was out for probably a couple seconds. I was out. And that was the hardest hit I ever had. And I'm still looking for a Rondé because of that. I'm still pissed off about it.
We're all looking for Rondé.
A year and a half, yeah. A year and a half I've been trying. A year and a half I tried to play against him, and I tried to get him back. And he all the time, he goes, Brooksy, I got you. Brooksy, I got you. Then I went to go play with the Giants. How about he tells his brother about the hit? We were all roommates. He's, oh, man, he's a B. Brooks, man. You let my brother hit you like that, man. I say, man, I'm still looking for him, man. I'm still looking for him. So next time I see him, I can't wait to see him. I still haven't seen him yet in person. I still have a vendetta against Rondé.
I mean, so does all of Philadelphia, but he told Tiki. But he told Tiki about it.
Yeah, I don't. Wow. How you gonna tell your brother?
How you gonna tell Tiki?
No, he was wrong for that. Wrong for that.
Oh my God. I love comments just keep rolling in. Javier saying, love your stories. You're very humble. D Drippy, that's our boy JD. He's saying, he loves you and legend status.
Appreciate it, man.
Salute.
Appreciate it.
But
see, I like this. I like you guys. You guys are cool, man. I can just talk to you guys, man. That's cool.
That's what we're here for.
And last thing I'll end with is a story that I really like. That I remember hearing. Back when you were younger Cardinals fan, St. Louis Cardinals, Vice Kahema. He invited you into Busch Stadium, gave you a pair of shoes because yours were a little bit too small, and then you guys. Then you guys reconnected when you were drafted because he was working at NBC. Reconnected, introduced yourself, and it's a crazy story, but it's absolutely awesome to hear something like that you guys get reconnected like that.
That's what I mean, because you never know, how you impact somebody's life. You never know, what you do. Because at the time I hated football. I hated football with a passion. Football was hard. And I was only made to play because my mom made me play because she wanted to make sure I wasn't getting in any trouble or I couldn't, I had to be home before, the lights came on. She wanted me to stay out of trouble, so she made me play football. So long story long, I used to go with my uncle. He would go out, and the players, as they walk in, if they had extra tickets, they would give, the kids the extra tickets. Well, I used to go out there, and then they'd be giving the tickets away, and I would never go up for a ticket. And I was bigger than most kids anyways. I'm 12 years old, and I might have been 11, 12, whatever it was, but I wore a size 12 shoe. But the shoes I had on was like 11, and here I am, a 12 and a half shoe. So I cut the front of them out because I never wanted to ask my mom for anything. It was hard enough, putting food on the table, let alone for some shoes. And she was the best. She still is the best. Yeah. So, he said, "Hey, kid, come here." So y'all come up to me. I said, "What's going on, Mr. Sickham?" He said, "Well, how come you never ask for tickets? I see you here all the time. How come you never ask for tickets?" This is not what I do. I wanted to play basketball. I wanted to be the next Charles Barkley. He said, "Well, hey, man, I'm looking at your shoes. Hey, man, follow me. Come on with me." So he brings me into the stadium, and we go through security and everything. And as I'm walking in, I'm looking in and seeing all this stuff, and I see a new world that I hadn't, I didn't experience. I'm from the ghetto. I hadn't seen anything like that. It was just, everything, fans screaming for him, hype. I saw all that, and I'm like, look, I can get used to this. I'll go in the locker room, and Vi's a little dude. He only wore like a size 10 or 9 or something like that. So Stump Mitchell gave me my first pair of brand name sneakers. He gave me a pair of Ruse. The kind you put the money in the sides in the little pocket. He gave me that. From that point on, I took football serious. I'm like, all right, I got to start playing. So, long story long, I get drafted by the Eagles. I didn't know Vi was up there. I kept in touch, with his career, but I didn't know he was up there. He was only up there for 2 years. But then he comes back, now he's in news. So I walk up, and as we're going up, they announced, Mamula goes up first. He was the first rounder. Then Bobby Taylor goes up. He's, the number one of the second round. And I'm the second player in the second round. So as I'm walking up, I look over and I see Vi. I said, "Mr. Sickham, Mr. Sickham." I said, "It's me. It's me. You remember who I am?" He's like, "Yeah, you're Barrett Brooks, offensive tackle from Kansas State University." "No, it's me." He's like, "Yeah, your second round draft choice. I said, no, I can buy my own shoes now. I can buy my own shoes.
God.
And he turns around,
Love that.
BB? I'm like, yeah, it's me.
Wow.
He just got drafted, and then that's from that point on. I've been following it ever since. He went to NBC. I'm at NBC now. He's a broadcaster. I became a broadcaster. So we keep tight. Ties. In fact, I text him today. We text back and forth today. We definitely keep in touch with each other.
That's too funny. Oh my gosh.
You never know how you're going to impact somebody.
Well, yeah, again, middle school teacher. So I hear you on that. I got a 13-year-old up in here, commenting, singing Aladdin in the comment section because Mikey's excited to hear that. All right, wait. I have to ask a question for my wife because she has this logic that I, as a guy, cannot comprehend. Right. So we call these uniforms, right? They're football uniforms.
Exactly.
She has this logic that they are costumes. And here's why. Because hold on, there's a whole thing, right? Because when you put it on, you become a different person, like a costume.
But that makes sense.
I know. I hate this. You can't tell her she's right. I know she's watching me. You can't tell her she's right.
It makes a lot of sense because I'm definitely a different person when I got a jersey on. If you wear another jersey, I'm gonna treat you a little differently, also. You know what I mean? So
you're buying into the costume mentality.
It's still a uniform, man. We got to stick together.
It is a uniform. I know. But
uniform.
Barrett, I want to thank you for joining us tonight, man. This was an amazing episode of Opening the Vault. Is there anything you need to plug? Is there anything you want to say? You still have the floor. What's going on in your world that you want to talk about?
Man, it's everything, man. I'm just enjoying life, man. Loving football. I do. I call college football games on the weekends. During the football season. NBC Sports Philadelphia. I have a YouTube channel that I, Jacob Media, that I do the middle in. That's pretty fun. I enjoy talking to people. I'm not necessarily a big talker. My kids look at me like, that is not the same guy that's at home. He doesn't say anything at home. But hey, when it's time to talk, I got a lot of stuff to say. So I really appreciate it. You know what I mean? But like I said, it's nothing like being being an Eagles fan. In fact, like I said, you talk about being indoctrinated into being a Philadelphia Eagles fan. It's my rookie year, and my first, the first game we play against Dallas, we lose. So we go, I go to this restaurant. Let me start a little. After the games, I used to go to this restaurant down there by Packer Avenue, nice Italian restaurant, mom and pop restaurant. I go in there, and beautiful family. I go in there, great food. I bring my family, and it's great. To go in the next week, same food, great food. We go on the third week, and we lost a game to Dallas. I go into this restaurant and talking about Philly strong. I go in there and I sit my family down, and we're sitting there, we're waiting to get fed. And an old lady comes from the back, and she's cussing me out in Italian. And I know she's cussing me out because some of the words sound like American words in Italian too. I know she's cussing me out. So her son comes out. Oh, he comes on. Hey, I'm sorry. I said, what did I do? Oh, it's not you, man. I said, well, she was cussing me. What did I do? He said, well, I'm sorry, man, but she had 15 grand on the game, and you guys lost. She's still pissed off. I said, this is Philly. Philly. That's why I love Philly. That's why I still live here now, So I love it. Man. Love it.
Well, again, man, we want to thank you for joining us tonight. This has been another edition of our second season of Opening the Vault. I'm Chip. That's Johnny. And that is the one and only Barrett Brooks. As we end every show here on the AAT Sports Network and AATBirds, go